Welcome back to the Kryptonite Show. Man, oh man, have we got a show today. The Epstein files, the first phase of release. And this is just the opening salvo. There's a lot of drama, more drama about what the FBI has not given. And of course, they no longer control the FBI. So the deep state in there trying to protect all the wealthy people who are corrupt from accountability. It's not going to last that long with Kash Patel as the new FBI director. And of course, Don Bongino as the deputy FBI director. They're going to get to the bottom of it. And of course, under the leadership there of Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for the United States, of course, is the first release. So we're going to get into all that. It's pretty dramatic. It's more dramatic what's not been given because that means that investigations and accountability is going to be deep and wide. So deep state, look out. They said they were going to try and do something and to hold things back. And of course, it's started off straight away. So we're going to delve into all that. We have had the first release, the first phase of release in any regards, but of course, them holding back the bulk of it from Attorney General Pam Bondi, and of course, she's written a letter out. We're going to get into that to the FBI director to get that evidence in by tomorrow, the 28th US time. So the first release out on the 27th today, and we're going to go through all that. So it should be a lot of fun. Let's without further ado, don't forget to get into the comments there. Leave your thoughts and about this topic because it is huge, right? So we're going to see how big it is in a minute with Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, the Epstein files, and of course, names and flight logs have been exposed. We're going to look at some of those documents today, as well as some news coverage about it so far. We've got a Crypto Compassion in the house there. Good to see you. Yo. DG and Hexkin as well. Hey, good to see you, DG and Hexkin. Welcome to the chat. Looking good there. Sometimes I forget how quickly the animation is on those comments, but it's just the way it goes. Let's quickly get into it. We're going to start off with the release itself. So here we are. Attorney General Pamela Bondi releases first phase of the declassified Epstein files. This is on the Justice Department site, so you can find that just at justice.gov, justice.gov, and you can find the release there. 27th of February for immediate release. So today, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, in conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, declassified and publicly released files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his sexual exploitation of over 250 underage girls at his home in New York and Florida, among other locations. Of course, you all know his famous island as well. The first phase of declassified files largely contains documents that have previously leaked but never released in a formal capacity by the US government. So this is really a soft launch of the evidence, and so it's going to build massively from here. But like I said, the biggest drama is what was withheld from the Attorney General, and all hell will break loose by tomorrow because that is the deadline there. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see that progress. The Department of Justice says Pam Bondi is following through on President Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators, said Attorney General Pam Bondi. The first phase of files released today sheds light on Epstein's extensive networks. So we're going to look at some flight logs. We're going to look at the phone contact list, and also funny enough, a masseuse list as well that was released there, and begins to provide the public with long overdue accountability. The FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and unwavering pursuit of justice. That's from Kash Patel, the new FBI director. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone left unturned. And anyone from the prior or current bureau who undermines this, which is what's happening right now as we speak, and that's why there's a deadline for tomorrow, it will be swiftly pursued. If there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them, and we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. The oath we take to the Constitution, and under my leadership, that promise will be upheld without compromise. So pretty exciting. Now, obviously, there's a bit of drama today. Attorney General Bondi requested the full and complete related files to Jeffrey Epstein. And in response, the department received approximately 200 pages of documents. However, the Attorney General was later informed of thousands of pages of documents relating to the investigation and the indictment of Epstein that were not previously disclosed. And of course, that's what everyone's after. And of course, all the supporting evidence that they've found, right? They raided the houses, they've got computers, everything else. So, what's all the details there? Video camera footage in particular on the island, There's lots of stuff to be had, right? Now, some of that will be used for court cases to, get these powerful people to be held to account to justice for the crimes that they've done against underage minors. So that's definitely going to be the case there. Attorney General has requested the FBI deliver the remaining documents to the department by 8 a.m. on Friday the 28th. So a lot of pressure there to deliver, and has tasked FBI Director Kash Patel with investigating why request for all documents was not followed. So not following orders, that's big. The heads are going to roll. And of course, the deep state's going to be exposed, right? Those protecting the big billionaires and the other corrupt people that were involved in this whole pedophile kind of island. It's going to be pretty held to pay. The department remains committed to transparency and intends to release the remaining documents upon review and redaction to protect the identities of Epstein's victims, which is pretty normal there. A copy of the Attorney General Bondi's letter can be downloaded here. We're going to quickly read that as well. But before we get into it, we've got a whole list of documents to go through. These were what were released on the 27th. That's today. Evidence list, flight logs, all the way through. So those flight logs go through from about 1990 down to 2005, based on these flight logs here. And then we've also got the contact book list there of Epstein as well. And then finally, a masseuse list as well of the masseuse. And that's all pretty much redacted because in some ways they may be considered victims, so that could be a bit more complicated. So that is pretty much where we are there. Now I'm going to play a little video of a bit of highlights leading up into this release. So let's play that here from Fox News.
Senator, you sent a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel demanding the full release of the unredacted Jeffrey Epstein records. Attorney General Pam Bondi revealed some of the Epstein files will be released today. Here's what she said. Watch.
This will make you sick. 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. What you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Senator, you said you're going to release what you know. What can you tell us?
Yes, indeed, and I've been so pleased that AG Bondi and Director Patel have worked with me on this. As she said, we have to make certain that these victims, and it is over 250, that their names are redacted, they are protected. And Maria, this is going to be a phase 1 release in short order. I will have the hard copy in my hand. AG Bondi is responsible for what will be the public release on this. She has worked diligently on this and so appreciative that we can begin to get this information, that we can begin to break apart what became a global human trafficking, sex trafficking ring, about $150 billion a year business. It is time to get some justice for these victims, for these women and children, and this will be a phase.
So that there was from Fox News coverage there with Blackburn. And of course, huge. I mean, think about human trafficking, pedophilia, all sorts of other abominations that are probably unspeakable on YouTube. Happened to over 250 underage minors, some of them very young. I mean, it's just some horrific stuff happening here. And of course, Epstein was giving access and blackmailing as well. So he'd give you access to billionaires and all sorts of other politicians, celebrities, and of course, private people as well, and give them access to all this stuff as well as blackmailing people as well, taking video records and things like that. So it's a very, very dark affair. And they say that there's many other islands out there too operating in this whole network as well. So big heads are going to roll, big people are going to be exposed, and that's why powerful people want this information to come out. No wonder the FBI hasn't given up the detail, all the data stuff, thousands of pages and evidence just to go to the DOJ. So pretty important there. Now we're going to have a quick look at this letter that General Bondi sent to Director Patel. And that is the letter there. And we're going to listen to a video of this, of course. So let's hear from another influencer out there on the network.
Is quite remarkable. The story here is this letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi, and I want to read a little bit of it to you. It says, "Dear Director Patel, Before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and lists of victims' names and their phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source. Is it too bad, Tim? Or is it okay? Oh, okay. Late yesterday, Attorney General Bondi writes, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I, she's talking to Director Patel, spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how much information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. Sincerely, it's signed Pamela Bondi.
All right, so that is the letter she's reading out there in front of your eyes. And of course, that was to the Director Patel of the FBI from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States. And of course, that is a pretty big deal, right? Delivered by 8 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, 28th. Thousands of documents, including all records, documents, audio, video recordings, etc., stuff like that. That was raided on the island, raided in New York and Florida, and places like that for Jeffrey Epstein. The other thing is you will deliver me a comprehensive report of your findings to investigate why her original orders were not followed by the FBI. So all hell is going to break loose. There's actually a bigger story than this initial release. Remember, a lot of these have already been publicly leaked already in this first phase. So this is actually the bigger story today. Pretty crazy there. So that is from Pam Bondi, some pretty big stuff there. Now we're going to go through some of the list just quickly. We've obviously got this evidence list, so it's got a whole ton of items in here, cell phone details and all sorts of things like that listed in this document. There are 3 pages of items of evidence. We're not going to go through all that, but just to say that, there's cell phones and computers and things like that that are on this list. So there we are, 3 pages. No doubt there is tons of more pages. So definitely a bit of a hoodwink here going on there. Now we also had some flight logs, and you can see at the top level the date there. We got like 1991 here, April, and we got all these different people from the flight logs from pilots listed on here. So it's got the pilot signature down the bottom, and it's got the date up at the top left here. The headline here, or the index, has got aircraft make and model. So it's got that in this column. It's got aircraft identification mark there. It's got points of departure from and to, so from airports to and from, with the little abbreviations there for the airports. It's also got the miles flying there, and the flight number in there as well. And then it's got remarks, procedures, maneuvers, and endorsements. And it seems to have several names and things like that. A lot of abbreviations in here on that column. And then, of course, it's got the number LDG. And of course, I think that's just maybe the number of people that they're carrying. And of course, the aeroplane. What's the aeroplane there? I'm not sure what that number is. Complex, so it's the aircraft category there, complex, and something called TLRE. I'm not particularly familiar with that terminology, but that is those are the flight logs there going all the way. So we got one flight log there. We got then the next period comes up, jumps from 91 to 93, and then we got another one jumps up to 996, and then we got one jumps to 998 with all those flights, 991 all the way through. We're at 998. Then we got flight logs for 2001. We got just pages and pages of it, right? Look at it, 20 pages on here. There's 20 pages on here, 20. So a lot of people going to from that island. So we got 2001 there. We got 2003 here, another 18 pages. Those are the flight logs, and that takes us 2003 all the way up. I think it ends up at 2006 on this particular flight log here as well. So 2005, so as the top year on the last page. And of course, you got all these different names here. It's got Alan Dershowitz. Now, we all know Alan Dershowitz out there. Now, he's denied any plausible deniability of any issues here. Has good backing for that, so he's definitely on trying to protect himself. Now, not everybody that flew to the island is going to be guilty of any particular thing, but there'll be quite a few, right? They will be probably guilty of illegal activity with underage minors, and some of it may be very grotesque even by horrible standards. So yeah, that is pretty crazy. So that was 2006 there, and going through this, you're going to find a lot of different names in there as well as abbreviations. So you got Hank Collier here, instructors. That looks like some airline instructor there. So they won't all be necessarily powerful people or influential people. So yeah, there's just pages and pages and pages of those. Then we have a contact book, and the contact book here for Epstein's got a lot of names on it. So we've got a lot of blackout stuff. Like blackout typically means that obviously they're going to use it for evidence, or they're protecting people's victims' details or something like that. At the moment, we've got a comments in the chat. Have we got some comments? We got yeah, they got some comments here, not worth putting on the chat there, but I appreciate your sentiment there. So we've got a lot of names here on these contact books for Epstein. Starts with letter A, of course. 2004, 2005 is the time frame from this, when these names have been added from the looks of it. And so lots of names on here. And, of course, they'll all be, they'll all be investigated to some degree. To see whether they were involved or not, right? So, is it 80% involved, 20% involved, in the activity? There's a lot of famous names on here, of course. So this is some of the evidence that's showing up here. And look, there's Mike Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg, of course. I mean, so there's lots of big names on here. Were they just on the flight? Did they just go to the island? Did they go to a dinner? Or were they part of the dark side of the Epstein Island and all the rest of it? So questions to be had, right? Questions to be had there. And you certainly don't want to be on any of these lists in that regards, right? There's senators and all sorts of things, billionaires, celebrities, all sorts of stuff on this list. So we're going to have a quick look at another video of some of the summary there of some of the people found on the list here. So let's play that one here.
This is a Fox News alert. The Epstein files have been released. Fox News senior national correspondent Kevin Corke has been pouring through all the documents. Kevin, what can you tell us?
Evening, Laura. I don't want to oversell this because I don't think there's a whole lot to sell, at least so far. We'll probably learn a lot more tomorrow morning by that 8 a.m. deadline that the AG has given the FBI in New York to turn over everything in their possession. But let me back up for just a second. The Attorney General, you recall last night, called it breaking news. She promised that we would get the Epstein files today, and while that turned out technically to be true, what we've seen so far, critics have argued tonight, really hasn't lived up to the dramatic billing. Now, we began the day with somewhat high expectation, having seen some influencers with so-called Epstein file folders. But that began to fizzle just a bit because we really didn't get a lot of new information. So once we saw that, we wondered, what about the Attorney General's? Was she holding back? Well, she actually wrote a letter, Laura, to the FBI director, Kash Patel, suggesting that the FBI's New York office, which collected material from the SDNY, that's the Southern District of New York, it seemed to be, for lack of a better description, stonewalling, holding back key materials. Now, the FBI director, obviously concerned about this, went on X, and Director Patel wrote a fairly lengthy post in it. He said there'll be no cover-ups and no missing documents and no stone left unturned. And anyone from the prior or current Bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued. He went on to say if there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them, and we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. So you may be wondering, okay, after all that, Kevin, what do we have? Well, so far we do have 7 flight logs. We have an Epstein contact book. we have a masseuse list, which strangely was redacted. Now, I should add this as well, Laura. Many of the names that we saw on the flight logs, at least so far, mirrored some of the names that we've seen before. There was obviously a criminal action that involved Ghislaine Maxwell. Some of the names on that flight log list, we've already seen those before. But what was interesting so far tonight, and I'm still going through it, we did see a few names in that contact book I told you about. Among them, Michael Bloomberg, Alec
All right,
Baldwin,
so you can see there
and former
that
UK
a few
Prime Minister
names on
Tony.
there, Alex Baldwin and others there on that flight list. So, it's not a great list to be on, is it? Whether they're innocent or guilty, it's certainly not a great list you want to be on. So that was pretty crazy. We had a few comments in the chat there. We're going to go through a couple of those. What we've got here, Lance says, they're not like us. They're lover boys, pedos. Indeed they are. And of course, some of them at least. And we've got Lance there. How about the truth shall set you free? PC comment won't get you banned by the pedos, says Lance there. Yeah, so it is a massive network. We know they've pulled down a number of pedophile networks in the United States, but some of the most powerful people in the United States are involved within several networks. They say there are several these type of setups of Epstein. Some of them have not been discovered, and of course they're protected by very powerful people out there. So that's definitely going to be an issue there. Now, you can go through the list here of the names. Now, I'm going to post the list here if you want to go through it yourself and check some of the names. Because it's a pretty interesting read. This is on the phone contact book, so you can definitely check out that. And yeah, so actually I'll put that out on Kryptonite Show. That is the link there. So if you're Justice, you can check out the names on the contact phone book for Epstein there. And of course, as they pointed out, you got pretty famous people there. Now this is the letter A's here, so we get down to the letter B's. I think Alex Baldwin was on one of those, wasn't he? So you could probably hunt him down on here as well. Just having a quick look myself. Yeah, Mike Bloomberg, Tony Blair. Look at these names. I mean, this is just the front, so he hadn't got too far through the list there, but some pretty crazy stuff. Tony Blair, the UK Prime Minister, Mike Bloomberg. Man, it's not a great list to be on, is it? And we saw earlier some other famous names there as well. But yeah, Richard Branson's on the list. Oh my God. I mean, it's not surprising to some degree. So whether they're a part of the thing or not is another question, but it's definitely not a great list to be on. That's for sure. Peter Brandt's on there. Yeah, it's pretty scary there. I was just trying to find Alex on there as well. I didn't see his name. I think he was up in the B Baldwin, isn't he? BA. Which is probably up here. Alec Baldwin, there he is there. So not a great list to be on. But just name after name, there's going to be celebrities, billionaires, politicians. It is crazy. Some of them in power, some of them not in power. There's going to be some big, powerful people sitting in behind the scenes that people that sort of run a lot of things that you may not have seen. So a lot of people want to protect from all of this stuff going any further. So obviously Epstein there been taken out. So not surprised at all on that list. So Naomi Campbell's in there. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, there's going to be lots of people that will be innocent, and there'll be lots of people that aren't. It's just let the Justice Department decide who those people are. So yeah, it's all based on evidence and activity. What the witnesses say too, who they sort of lead to be, who's did what to them, particularly some of the younger ones as well. So lots of names on this list. Pretty impressive. 95 pages on this contact list, by the way. 95 pages. So yeah, there's lots of names on here I'm not familiar with. They'd be from Europe, from America, all lots of different places. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy list for sure. Just looking down here, Duke of York. Oh my gosh, I mean, Duchess of York. So some people may just have been over there on the flight. And not, there'd been nothing dark there. It would have been maybe just a luncheon or something. You just never know. But definitely some famous people, royalty as well. Pretty crazy to see some of the names on the phone book list. And like I say, whether you're innocent or guilty, not fun to be on this list. That's for sure, especially with what's coming as well. Let's see. Look, some of the Andrew Feldman. I know that name. Was it Favel Princess? I'm not sure who that is, but you might recognize some of these names on this list. Let's have a look here through some of those. This is just letter F, running up to letter F here on page 21. So there's a lot of names on here. Pretty crazy, really, when you think about it. And that is some of the lists there going on. Let's see, we're up to letter G. What's it, letter G there? Just trying to quickly review some of these. Greece Princess Olga. Seems to be a lot of people with the princess in their name. I don't know whether that's a convention in the United States or something like that, but that's pretty crazy. Just going through some of those. You might recognize some of the names that I do not recognize. But we're up down to the letter H now. Letter H on these names on the contact list. Dustin Hoffman. See, so there's quite a few celebrities, right? Celebrities in there as well. So Dustin Hoffman there. Who else? Jumping through some of these. So that's the letter H we just went through there. Who else is on here? Michael Jackson was on there, so he's okay though. He's moved on to the next world. But Michael Jackson's on there. That's pretty crazy, right? What else? We got some other names on there too. So there's the letter K. We're at the letter K. We're up to like page 29. So you can sort of see an idea of kind of the people that are on there: politicians, royalty, celebrities, senators. Look, Senator Edward Kennedy there as well. Kennedy Jr., Ted Jr. So famous, basically royal politicians in the United States. Some of those names. So yeah, these are all contact lists, and yeah, not necessarily surprising. We've got the Kissingers as well. I've got some Kissingers there. Dr. Henry Kissinger. OMG, some big names there. We're down to L's now, so some pretty crazy letters on there. We've got a lot of the Leidemans. I know some of those look familiar. Down to M's now, M's. So looking through some of those, you probably maybe some of them you've recognized them as yourself. So lots of big names on the lists. We've got a lot of the Maxwells, of course, as well. Isabel Maxwell, a lot of Maxwells related to the Maxwell. I think that was the lady, wasn't it? What else here? Marcella Maxwell. Keep it in the family, as they say. Keep it in the family. Metcalfs, Millers. Just trying to see where the others there. We got down to M. So lots of names on here on this list. So pretty crazy. That's letter M. We'll probably finish there, 39 out of 95. Probably a good place to finish. Just goes to show you. Now, the FBI. Now, what are they going to deliver, right? The FBI's got to deliver all that information by tomorrow, 8 a.m. 28th. And, of course, there's going to be an investigation by Kash Patel into why all the evidence wasn't given to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in time. So heads are going to roll. That's going to be a big part of the story, let alone the justice being done and people finding out who did what. Which people got involved. There were definitely a decent number of people involved, over 250 victims. So heads will roll. That's what's going to happen. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's about half an hour on the live stream. We covered Epstein file release as the first phase. And this is quite a bit of this stuff apparently has been leaked already. And so we're waiting for the real material that will probably start, maybe within a couple of weeks from tomorrow when they get the details. So there will be a limit to what they can provide and if they're going to prosecute a lot of people. But we're the prosecutions after all these years, right? And that's a big part of the deep dark state. They're protecting it. And powerful people don't want this to be exposed because a lot of people are going to go down. A lot of people in the United States, and I'd suggest to you a lot in the Democrat Party will be involved in this. So anyway, that is the names and flight logs. Hope you enjoyed a bit of that teaser and a bit of insights there. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the like button, hit the bell, share the channel around. If you like this sort of content, definitely get out there and do that. And if you want to join our Discord for more, links in the video description, join up today as well. All right, catch you on the next show. Take care and bye for now.